So we start, and your name is Arlene Castagnero.
Narrow.
Why do I have trouble with that? And how do you know me?
Did I babysit for you?
Yes, you did. Now,
with Earl Douglas?
He was the best, wasn't he? You remember, don't you?
He was something else. He needed help, though.
I think he did too. Okay, let's jump back.
Okay.
Okay, so how long have you lived in Pitcairn?
Since I was 7.
Really? Where'd you come from?
A little town on this side of Johnstown.
I'll be darned.
It was called Robinson.
Wow.
Yay.
And how old are you right now? I know, sweet 16 and never been kissed.
About 85.
85, so 7, so you've been here 78 years
Yep.
in Pitcairn. What do you think about Pitcairn?
It used to be nice.
Yeah, I know. I know.
And the hill's still good.
Mm-hmm.
But I have some very good friends in Pitcairn, so that erases everything else.
There you go.
I mean, they help each other. The kids I went to school with, they still stop and everything. But we got, I don't even know how to explain that I got here. I was here before all them idiots moved in.
Well, when I lived here, it was a different town too. It was a different town. So let me take you back. Do you remember back when the fire departments used to have parades?
Yes.
You do. Okay, there was number 1 and number 2, both had the parades.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I know nothing about this because I wasn't around then. I have this picture, that's of my dad as a drum major. Do you remember anything like that?
No. He
Okay.
must be older than me. How old is he now?
Oh, my dad passed. My dad was born in 1916.
Oh, well.
So,
I wouldn't have
okay,
known him
so
because
you
I'm
wouldn't-
85.
Okay, cool. Okay. Okay, so next step is, do you remember my grandparents?
Yes.
You do. Do you remember their names?
Margaret
That's my name. Yep, I was named after her.
and her husband, and they lived on the corner of 2nd Street in an apartment.
You're right. Clyde. And they used to have a store there.
Yes.
You do remember that? Because that's before my time too.
Yep.
Okay. So,
Right on the corner.
Okay.
You know, the bank was here, and there was places to rent here.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's where they live. Okay. Well, that's good. Okay. So, do you remember when the war broke out? World War II.
Yes.
You do. Okay.
Some of my uncles went.
Okay.
They didn't take my dad because he had a daughter. They went down.
Really?
They went down the ladder for the people that didn't volunteer, that had little younger kids.
Is that right? I didn't know that. Well,
They would have probably shot everybody in sight to get back home.
Well, I think the thing is, my mom and dad ran away to Winchester, Virginia.
Oh, that was a place to go.
It was to get married, because my dad said after they had gone together all through Pitcairn High School that he was not coming back from the war and not have my mom there. And do you remember my mom's name?
Let me think.
It's a strange
Earl
name.
Douglas.
Earl Douglas is my brother.
I babysat with him.
And Earl is my dad's name. And my mother's name was
Dorita.
Doretha. Yes.
Doretha.
That's a strange name.
Babysat with him. He was bad, but now that I'm married, he had problems.
Really?
I think so.
He's now in a nursing home in Turtle Creek. And I'm his power of attorney. And he can't speak because he had a stroke and he's paralyzed on one side. So
Tell him I said hello.
I will. He's
I
had
used
a tough life. He had a
Because
tough.
she went for bingo every night.
Oh, you're talking about my mother.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm talking about my brother. Okay, so let's get back to my
Okay.
dad. So my dad went into the service, and this is what he looked like. Do you remember
Wasn't he
him?
handsome?
I think so too. Thank you.
I think you're both prejudiced.
Okay, so he went into the service.
His son looked like him.
Very much. 2 Earls. Yep, that is very true. Okay.
And I know his grandparents, Lochner's.
Yes, that's who we got that picture of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Wasn't
my
she
dad's.
pretty though, Margaret?
Yes.
They called her Marguerite, I think. What was her maiden name?
McCurdy.
Oh, she's Bill McCurdy's sister.
Sister, yes.
He wasn't a bad-looking man in his heyday.
Really? I just knew him when he got older. I don't know. Anyway, okay, so do you remember anything about what my dad went through when he was in the military? He went over to the Philippines. Do you remember hearing that he went through the Bataan Death March?
Yes.
Okay, and then after that, do you remember he went into the prisoner of war camp?
Yes.
Do you remember where?
No.
Japan. And he was in Japan for 3.5 years as a prisoner of war.
I could have probably told you that because that's about how many times I babysat with the boy.
Yeah, so did
was you ever like really close to him?
my brother?
Mm-hmm.
He's 7 years older than me, so.
I didn't think he had all his marbles.
Okay. Well, why would you say that?
Because I babysat with him and he was just goofier than shit.
Well, okay.
I better start talking nice.
Okay, so we're talking about my dad in the war. Yeah, you can be honest. This is the name of the
There's
game.
nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with being.
He wasn't right.
Okay.
He needed help.
Okay, so my dad was in the war. He was in the Bataan Death March, and he was a prisoner of war for 3.5 years. What they didn't know, that my mom was pregnant when my dad left. So in the middle of when my dad was missing in action, my mom gave birth to my brother. Now, when you talk about being crazy, my mom always told me when she gave birth to my brother, 2 things happened. First of all, she had Rh negative blood, and they had to drain the blood out of my brother and change the blood because of that.
Oh.
So that was one issue. Another thing, my mom always told me that whenever my brother was born, now my dad was missing in action, they didn't know whether he was dead or alive. She said she looked at him, he had yellow jaundice, and she looked at him and she said, just because your dad's fighting the Japs, you don't have to look like one. Okay, so fast forward after all this
Do you
ordeal.
remember me ever babysitting with you?
You realize how little I had to have been?
Yeah.
How little was I?
I don't know, but I couldn't give you a lot of attention because
Because
Earl
of him.
Douglas was nuts. But then nobody helped him. They didn't do anything for him or anything. He just grew.
They didn't discipline him, huh? Probably
They
not.
were never home. Christ, I think she played bingo every night to get her card wet.
Oh, really? Okay.
So,
I didn't know all that. I didn't. So anyway, so let's go back. My dad comes home. Here is a picture. This was in the Post-Gazette the very first time my dad saw my brother.
wasn't he cute?
Yeah, and he does look just like my dad, doesn't he? And does this look like
So
my
you
mother?
know what? We lived in the front of that apartment house.
What, in Center Avenue?
Uh-huh.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I didn't
And
know
he
that.
they lived in the back part.
So we lived next to Helpy's, and you lived on the other side of it?
I was at Jake's.
And Jake's, yes. Yes, I do remember that. I do remember that.
Do you remember this? My mother sewed for every person in Pitcairn.
Did she?
She was a seamstress since the age of 7.
Now, where did she live?
She lived in an apartment on Broadway.
On Broadway. Okay, so she was right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
because they brought me down here when I was 7, I think.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we even lived in the same building then.
You lived in the back next to Helpy's, and I lived in front next to Jake the Jew.
I remember we used to
You
say
couldn't
that too. We used to say that too. Okay, so do you remember when my dad came home?
Yes.
You do? Okay. Okay, so anyway, this was the picture that was in the Post-Gazette.
Did you ever write and ask him for the real thing?
Now, do you realize how many years that's been?
Doesn't matter. They don't throw nothing away.
Is that right? Okay, I might consider that. Okay, so the
Earl
next,
Lochner.
yes,
And who did he marry?
her name was Doretha Phelps.
Oh, I remember her.
Yes.
So how old were you?
Doretha Phelps. Okay, here's the picture. That's, do you know who they are?
That's your mother. He's a Lochner. Christ, she just looks like one.
Yeah, that's true. And then this is the little pistol that you watched. That's Earl Douglas.
He was a pistol.
He was. He was a pistol.
She was so nice though. And I can tell you what she did. When he was in the service, she played bingo. Because I went to babysit about 3 times a week.
Is that right? Well, kept her busy, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, then he came home. He got a job at the post office. He worked in the ambulance, and he did all this.
Could he have got a job in the post office because Bill was there?
Like that's probably very true. And my Aunt Remaine worked there too.
I don't know. She lived up in a hill. She had a,
Hi.
Yes.
that's my son Pat.
Hi, Pat.
Hi.
You know what we're doing?
No.
Oh, okay. I've talked to Dan. We're here just interviewing your
Tell
mother.
me who you're related to.
My maiden name was Lochner.
Oh, you wrote the book.
Yeah, I wrote the
I
book.
met you at the flower shop
Yes.
when you were dropping off some blankets.
Yes,
Okay.
that is true. Well, what's happening now, there's another avenue that my book's going into, and they're trying to verify that what I put in the book and the people I talk about are real people and real. So I have.
I might get my name in the book and everybody will know.
Why didn't you get your hair done?
So she looks
What's the
gorgeous.
matter
No,
with it?
joking.
So there's 3 people that I'm speaking to today. I'm speaking to you. You're my number 1. My number 2 is Frank Gallo, and my number 3 is Elsie Edwards.
Oh yeah.
You're my 3 favorite
I
people.
went to school with her. Nice girl.
Yes,
Does
yes,
she still live out in North Pitcairn?
yes, on Wall Avenue. Okay, so let's proceed here. Okay, so after my dad came home, and after he was at the post office, probably because of my Uncle Boo being the postmaster and all that, the exciting time in their life came. And that's when I was born. That was in 1949.
You ought to be proud of that because your mother missed the night at bingo.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so anyway, oops, losing the spot I want here.
Did
Oh,
you
boy.
notice how bad your brother was though?
Well, you want me to be honest with you? Do you see this scar
Yeah.
on my forehead? That came
Hasn't
from my
changed.
brother. I was starting to
Is it-
walk.
No, Earl.
Mike.
She's talking.
He stuck his foot out, and he tripped me. And you know how in that apartment they had those steps going from the dining room to the living room. And to this day, I'll go to my grave with that scar from him.
And did he get reprimanded for it?
I don't think so, but I was real little. I don't know.
Well, I didn't think it was all together there. That's why I asked you.
Anyway, so do you remember us then?
Yes, and he looks exactly like his father.
That is true. That is true. And does this look exactly like me?
Yeah.
I knew I liked you for a reason.
You know, you just can't imagine how much he looks like his father.
That is true. I agree with
Where's
you.
he at now?
He's in a nursing home
Aw.
in Turtle Creek in LGAR. He had a stroke 12 years ago. He's paralyzed on one side and he can't speak. And I'm his power of attorney, so I
Oh
go
my
down and
God.
make, yeah, so I have
You
to.
worked your way into that one, didn't you?
I worked my way into it. Do you see these gray hairs? So anyway, you remember this. This is definitely who I'm saying it is, right?
Oh yeah, because I babysat with. I don't know why I ever went back, except I liked the money. And she needed to get out, and so she played bingo.
Yeah. And you living in the same apartment building, that made it perfect, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So you just went from your apartment down and up and around, and you were right there with us.
Mhm. I
Okay.
could have gone up over the hill and down the laundry thing, and
So How was I to babysit?
No problem.
No problem. But he gave you problems, huh?
No, I don't think he gave me problems. Never mind.
No, this is being truthful.
I don't think he's all there.
Okay, okay. That's
Did you ever think that?
We won't discuss that. My brother's had a lot of problems. He had some alcohol problems too. So,
Yeah, but do you think he was treated right? Like,
I
is
don't
your mother still living?
no, no.
Well, she went to the bingo every night. I mean, she really didn't care about the kids at that time.
Well, you got to realize when my dad was prisoner of war, she was probably going through difficult times too.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But you got kids. How'd you get them? Not by yourself. That's how I feel about it.
Okay.
Might
okay.
have to work twice.
Okay, so let me fast forward a little bit and see if you remember this picture.
Yes, it was over to Jim.
And what was it?
What did they call
The
them?
minstrel. The minstrel.
Did you have to have a period to go there?
Let me tell you something my husband said. I'd never thought about this picture before, but I know for a fact the undertaker said that when my dad died, he had the most brutalated body they had ever seen because he had whip marks on his back. I never thought about this till we were coming down, and Mike said, because he put these pictures together for me, he says, do you see this girl looking? My dad always had his back covered, that I always remember. It's open here with this little bra thing. Do you think she could be looking there at the scars?
I actually don't. I think that she could be watching so he doesn't get hers in trouble.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, but seriously,
They were
you
good to-
remember my dad dressing up like,
Yeah.
you do remember? That was fun. I loved the minstrel.
Well, they did it and they had a good time doing it.
Now here's the other thing, and I don't know if you remember, this is a little fuzzy. This is my grandpa Blockner, and this is my dad. My dad's dressed up like a girl, and they're dancing together.
Your grandfather lived down on Center Avenue on an apartment.
And they had that,
See, I still have my brain.
yeah, and they had that store down there. You
Yes,
remember
they
that
did.
store?
Mhm.
Okay.
Half of it. That store was had by him, and then there was a like soda jerk place in the front part of it somebody else owned.
Oh, so they didn't own that part.
No,
owned
they
just
could
the
have
store.
rented it to them. I'm not saying that.
Because I did hear there was some kind of a
Because
soda thing.
he had like a little grocery store in the back.
Yes, that's what I've always been told. That was long before me.
But you know what? He got a lot of business from the kids because he made milkshakes and sodas and stuff like that.
Okay, back to the minstrel. So that is my dad dressed up like a woman, and this is my papa, Lochner.
I remember him. He lived right in the corner in
That's
an
right.
apartment building.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
See, I'm not nuts.
Okay, so we're progressing on. So anyway, time goes on, and this is the last picture I have of my family.
Oh, he looks just like his father. Oh,
This is my dad.
Yeah.
He was 40 years old. My brother was 14. My mom's 38, and I'm 7.
Was her maiden name?
Phelps. Phelps.
Where'd she live at?
I think Wall Avenue,
Okay.
before she came down here to 488 Broadway.
Oh, that must be why I knew them. That's where I lived.
That is, you were in the front part, they were in the back part. Okay, anyway, so we're gonna speed this along here. So, okay, so this picture was taken in 1956.
Wasn't he good looking?
I think so too. Thank you. I appreciate that. 2 weeks after, I remember when this picture was taken. This is up on 8th Street. And I don't know if you remember my grandma Guy, my Bill McCurdy's mother.
Oh, yeah.
Her name was Jetta Mahalia McCurdy. I know, we always thought maybe she's black. But she lived on 3rd Street. Okay, after her first husband died, she married Ed Guy. Does that name sound familiar at all?
Oh yeah, there was lots of guys in Pitcairn.
Look, he used to.
No, seriously.
He used to haul coal.
Yeah.
Anyway, look at this picture. That's him in that picture. I can remember when this picture was taken, my grandma Lochner said, "Get out of that picture!" Because she thought this was going to be a very special picture. And
This looked exactly like Earl Douglas.
this is Earl Douglas.
I know, but that.
Okay, so anyway, what I'm getting to, then after this picture was taken, 2 weeks later is when my dad died.
Oh.
He died at age 40. He had a massive coronary, and it was there at 488 Broadway. Do you remember that at all?
I lived there.
I know. Do you remember when,
Did he live in the front or the back?
right next to Helpy's,
That was the back.
he had a massive coronary.
I must have known him because I babysat.
Yes, yes. Okay. So then my dad died.
And your mother went to bingo?
Okay. Now, let me go 2 more things. Don't worry about Pat. 2 more things and I'm done.
He's
Okay.
gonna kill me.
No. Do you remember? Oh, okay. When my dad died, this was his obituary.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
40 years old. And
They had a parade or something when he came back.
now that's a good question. I've had conflicting things.
Wait, down there on Center Avenue going down, where Gus Wallace had a candy shop, and Jake the Jew was on this side, okay?
I knew that too, Pat. I knew that too.
And they built a thing across the road. Do you remember that, a
Okay,
memorial
no, I
thing?
don't, but people have told me about that. Remember the Pitcairn Express?
Yes, it had everything in it.
It had everything in it. Okay. And it later became
Times Express?
Times Express. Well, they do not keep any archives of any
Well,
of this.
because they just like folded up and it was a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah. But see, this is what everything in my book is based on. This is November the 16th, 1945. When my dad came home, he and Clem Troy,
Yep.
but both of them wrote Life as a Prisoner of the Japs. And this is my dad, and there's 5 pages here, as to what he went through and what Clem Troy went through. But I can't get any documentation from the Pitcairn Express, but this is as much as I have. But you remember there was a Pitcairn Express?
Oh yeah, Times Express.
Pitcairn Express, before the Times Express.
Yep.
You do remember, and it had a lot of, just Pitcairn stuff in it? Perfect. This is what I need, because this says everything in my dad's own words.
I'm trying to think of who would have cut stuff that long.
Well, this is as close as I got. People are even trying to get into Washington, D.C. to see if they have Pitcairn Express documents. I don't think it'll happen. I don't think it'll happen.
Did you ever
Okay.
put an ad in the paper though?
No, this will be fine. Okay, and this is my last picture. You know who they are?
Margaret.
Yes,
That had to be you.
that's me.
And that is her daughter. This
No,
is
not
Doretha.
her daughter. Yeah, not her
That's
daughter.
Doretha.
You're right. You're right. This is Margaret's daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
This is Earl's wife. This is, okay. So we got all that together. So you have known my family, haven't you?
Forever.
Forever. Thank you so much. This means so much to me.
Okay,
Okay, so this means so
you
much
can
to
keep
me.
talking. You want me to?
No, wait a minute.
Okay.
I really... I'm telling them what to do, huh?
So what else is new?
I really appreciate this
I'm glad.
very much, because they want to know that all these things that we just talked about was
You
the
can
truth.
talk about the main thing.
What's that?
Well, they lived in the apartment building
Okay.
on Broadway. We lived in the front part.
Yes.
And they lived in the back part. Everybody had their own wash.
Up in the attic. That
And
is
they
true.
did have a place to hang it out during the summer. But in the winter you went up there and you washed your clothes. And you washed them according to the day you had.
And it had to stay there. You know what my brother used to do? And I'll never forget this. We had birds, canaries. He went upstairs in the summer and laid out to get a tan. He took the birds with him. And he took the one bird out and it flew away.
It was smart, wasn't it?
Anyway, we're going to end this recording here. But I thank you for documenting that I am telling the truth and you really knew me and this is everything
Oh,
about
yeah.
it then.
If I'm not mistaken, I babysat you.
Yes, you did. And I was a good girl too, wasn't I?